You know what I'm gonna do about it? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna tweet my displeasure. That's right. I'm gonna jump on social media and I'm gonna tweet about it until my fingers bleed. I might even send an Instagram or a Vine. That's right. And on that tweet, in that tweet, and however many characters I get, I am gonna threaten. That's right. If I don't get what I want, I'm gonna riot. And if that doesn't work, then by God, me and my friend Mark, we're gonna stop watching. That's right.
And how about when you found out the true identity of your biological father? How did you find that out?
Well, when I found out I was adopted, I wanted to know more, but I didn't. You know, it was a weird situation. I wanted to know from a personal standpoint, but at the same time, like, somehow I just felt like it was going to disrespect my mom and dad. But they were so supportive throughout the whole process, and they were so understanding. They supported me, and after a few conversations, we came to the conclusion that it was about time that I reached out. I needed to find out the truth. So I got in contact with a friend. They got me in contact with a private investigator who actually tracked down my birth mother. And they arranged a conversation, a call between the two of us. And I'm so happy that I did it.
And how did that call go?
Well, it was difficult. It was a difficult conversation for both of us. I could tell that it was extremely hard for her to go back and think about a decision that she made 28 years ago. And I know that she made that decision with the best intentions, and I wanted her to know that I've had a fulfilling, happy life. But I wanted to know who my birth father was. And when she told me, I was shocked and I was excited. I mean, it was all surreal. I mean, come on, seriously? Kurt Angle is my dad?
You know, the thing is Jason and I just need to get to know each other more. I mean, we just came together tonight. This has been a long night for both of us, and I just want to make sure he doesn't make the same mistakes I made. I want to be a father, too.
What's up? And welcome in to episode 63 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Right here on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, YouTube, Podomatic, wherever you get your podcasts from. Also, MindTheCarnage.com. What's going on, everybody? This is student of the game of professional wrestling, Josh Lopez here on a Thursday morning here in the great city of Chicago, Illinois, ready to deliver another piece of slobber knocker audio as only I can. We do this podcast every Thursday, and we drop it on MindTheCarnage.com for you great wrestling fans out there that want to listen to a fun, laid-back wrestling podcast where I'm not popping blood vessels over storylines and stuff. You guys know the routine by now. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, I just want to say thank you, because I'm very appreciative for those that want to take time out of their schedules to listen to what I have to say. You could be listening to this while running at your local gym. You could be listening to this on your way to work or on your way home from work. Wherever it is, wherever you're listening to this podcast, and while you're listening to this podcast, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I only ask for one favor for those that are supporters of this podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and Stitcher. Please leave a review of this podcast in the comment section of these particular platforms. and send me a screenshot of those reviews. You send me a screenshot of your review of the podcast, I'll give you a shout out right here on the podcast next week. That's my gift to you. We got a lot to get to this week. As always, I'm going to be starting off this week's podcast going over the competitors in the Mae Young Classic and talk a little bit about the G1 Climax tournament that started this past Monday. And I made a couple of reference sheets to both of these tournaments on my website that I do now. It's called ProWrestlingResults.wordpress.com. Please bookmark that. If you like what I do in regards to my play-by-play articles and stuff, please give that a like as well. I put a lot of work into that site, and it's kind of cool to know that you have something of your own, and it starts from the bottom and it's growing and growing as time goes on, just like this podcast. So check it out, ProWrestlingResults.wordpress.com. This is where you can find these reference sheets. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to be going over all the competitors in the Mae Young Classic, tell you a little bit about their resume, where they come from, who they were trained by. Also talk about some of their finishing moves, because I am a guy that loves the in-ring action just like you guys. So I'll tell you a little bit about that before the Mae Young Classic debuts on the WWE Network on August 28th. Write that down in your calendar, August 28th. The preview special for the Mae Young Classic will be going on August 20th. That's the day of SummerSlam. So Corey Graves, Medusa, Lita, and JR will be going over all the intricacies of what's going to go behind this tournament on that bracketology special. Who's fighting who in the first round and all that stuff. 32 women have come to Full Sail University to compete and find out who is the best woman wrestler in the world. And there's no mistake about it. This tournament is very, very special, not only for women's wrestling, but wrestling in general. Wrestling, it keeps getting better and better. This has been one of the best summers in the world of professional wrestling, in my opinion. I thought last year's was good too, because we had the Cruiserweight Classic that dominated most of the summer. And we had the beginning of the brand split coming back to the WWE. And I think this has been a good year for programming for the WWE. I'm not saying this just for whatever. I truly mean it. I know a lot of people like to get bogged down by the little things because they're God's gift of booking and this and that. But that's not my deal. I don't lose sleep over booking decisions that I get bothered by. I just don't do it. It's just, for me personally, it's a waste of time. It's not productive. Okay, you're complaining and you're venting about stuff you're frustrated about. But wrestling is really not something to be frustrated about at the end of the day. This is supposed to be an escape from reality. Reality stuff in real life should get you frustrated, not subjective storylines. Okay, folks, that's a little positive tip for today. But let's get back to this Mae Young Classic. I had the pleasure and the honor to cover not only the Cruiserweight Classic last year, but also the UK tournament. And I can't tell you how excited I am to cover this tournament. Not only for the fact that I know a lot of these performers that are going to be in this tournament, but also at the same time, the guy that got me hooked into wrestling, JR, is going to be doing the play-by-play for this particular tournament. So I can't wait. So I'm going to be going over down the list for the tournament. And like I said earlier, the bracketology special for the Mae Young Class will be going on August 20th. That's going to be following SummerSlam. So go check that bracketology special. You'll find out what are the first round matchups and which block certain performers are in this block, the B block, the C block, D block, all that blocks. Alright, here we go. First one, then we're going to start off hot in the gates here. We're going to start off with Shayna Baszler, age 36 from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I know some of you guys know who Shayna Baszler is. She's part of the MMA Four Horsewomen with Ronda Rousey, Marina Shafir, and Jessica Dukeman, I think is her last name. I know her first name is Jessica. Shayna is the current AIW Women's Champion. She's also a former DDT Pro Iron Man Heavy Metalweight Champion. That's basically the women's title for DDT Pro out there in Japan. She was also an SCF Women's Bantamweight Grand Prix Champion as well. Shayna is basically your wrestler that's transitioned out of the MMA world and more into the WWE. She has kind of a similar offense to Becky Lynch. Obviously, a couple moves that stand out here, like the Explorer Suplex. She has a standing rear naked choke, cross arm breaker. Also has a Kimura lock as well, and pretty cool. She also has a gut wrench suplex as well. Shayna Baszler has been wrestling for better part of 3 to 4 years. She started getting some steam now in the Shimmer world. She is a big wrestling fan, and she's appeared on wrestling podcasts all over the world. Who knows? Maybe one of these days I'll have Shayna on this show, and that'll be a lot of fun to talk to her because she's a cool chick. She's had a long career in MMA. She's getting into wrestling now at the age of 36, and the fact that she's doing this to this high level and she seems like a rookie going into this tournament, this is big for her, and it's pretty cool that she's doing it at this age. Next competitor we got here, her name is Sage Beckett. She's from Ruskin, Florida, and she's 32 years old. Now, here's the cool thing about Sage. Sage was trained by the Dudley Boys. Sage has been wrestling for 10 years. She's competed in Shine, WXW, and TNA over the past couple years. She's also made a couple of appearances on NXT as well. Only championships I knew that she won was that she was a former WXW Women's Champion and that she won the WXW Elite 8 Women's Tournament. Some of the moves she has here, sit-out spine buster. She also has a two-handed choke slam, so that should be pretty interesting. A lot of women use a lot of running hip attacks and running body avalanches, as you'll notice as this particular segment goes on. But I like Sage. She's the taller competitor. Obviously, getting to be trained by the Dudley Boys, she's probably going to be technically sound, and she knows what she's doing. And she just looks like a badass. Not only is there a lot of beautiful women in this tournament that I could tell so far, but there's just a lot of badasses, too. So, that's a little info on Sage Beckett. Our next competitor here we got is Bianca Belair, age 28 from Knoxville, Tennessee. Bianca was known as a CrossFit specialist before getting signed to the WWE in 2016. Bianca is one of the current members of the WWE Performance Center. Bianca recently defeated Leah on a recent edition of NXT to qualify for this tournament. Bianca has a spear, overhead belly, back to belly pile driver, elevated double chicken wing move. I'm looking forward to that. And she also has a front power slam as well. Next one here, we have a woman that has a lot of experience and has also had a lot of TV time over the past 5 years. Her name is Marty Bell. Marty Bell for the Dominican Republic, but also way of New York City. She's 28 years old. Marty was trained by the legendary Johnny Rodz. Marty has been wrestling for over 9 years. She's competed obviously in TNA, Evolve, Shimmer, Shine, WSU, etc., etc. Marty was formerly part of the Dollhouse faction in TNA. Marty was also a former WSU Spirit Champion and a former Shine Tag Team Champion. Here's some of the moves that she has. Marty, you can mistake her for her looks and you may think, oh, she may not be like a physical, like technically sound performer like most of these indies girls are, but that's not the case. This girl can throw down. Here's some of the moves that she has. Double underhook face buster, a straight jacket neck breaker, kneeling somersault neck breaker. That's gonna be nasty. A discus clothesline, and how about this one right here? A leg trap sunset flip power bomb. Bam. Next one here is one of the favorites and one of the most beautiful women heading into this tournament. As I would say on the Bama Pipes. Waterfall worthy. Yes. We have Tessa Blanchard here, age 22 from Charlotte, North Carolina. I had a kind of a moment here because I can't believe that I'm actually older than Tessa Blanchard, but that's crazy. Tessa comes from Charlotte, North Carolina. She's the daughter of WWE Hall of Famer Tully Blanchard, part of the legendary Four Horsemen faction back in the day. Tessa's been wrestling for the past 5 to 6 years. She's competed in ECWA, Shine, WSU, Shimmer, Stardom. She's a former Shimmer Tag Team Champion. And she's also a former PWX Women's Champion as well. She has a couple moves to her repertoire. Tessa gets a lot of recognition, not only for her family lineage, but obviously she's a really, really beautiful woman. And she gets booked to a lot of independent promotions. I've seen Tessa perform a lot when they had those big AEW and Shimmer weekends. Here's some of the moves that she has. Slingshot belly to back suplex, ring apron DDT, bridging butterfly suplex. Here's one of my favorite moves, hammerlock DDT. And then I was surprised to find out that she's a submission specialist as well, because she has a Fujiwara armbar as well. So I think that's really, pretty cool. Tessa's one of the big performers to truly look out for in this tournament. I don't know how far she'll go in this tournament. I just want to preface this for everybody. I don't look at spoilers. That's not my thing. I don't know who's won. I don't know who's advancing to the next set of tapings for the Mae Young Classic. I don't look at spoilers. I just want to apologize in advance. All right, here we go. Next one here. Next creator we got here. Another piece of great waterfall. Vanessa Bourne. Vanessa is a former Arizona Cardinals cheerleader. By the way, Vanessa is at the same age as I am. She's 23 years old from Los Angeles, California. Vanessa was trained from the Knox Pro Entertainment wrestling school. So that's Rikishi's and Gangrel's school. That's pretty cool. Vanessa defeated Jamie Hachi on NXT a couple weeks ago to qualify for this tournament. Only move that I knew that she had was the spinning leg hook belly to back suplex. Besides that, there's a lot of technical stuff with the side headlocks and hammer locks and shoulder blocks and etc. etc. Following her, we have Tainara Conti from Brazil, age 22. Tainara has a judo background, and she was signed to the WWE Performance Center in 2016. A couple moves here: deep arm drag, leg lariat. She also has obviously a judo throw. She also has a cross arm breaker. Now, this next performer I'm going to be talking about, she has a lot of experience. Her name's Kavita Devi. She's from India. She's the first WWE women's performer from India that's going to be performing in this tournament, and she was trained by the Great Khali. I put in the article of this reference sheet of a video that she had fighting a male wrestler, so go check that out. Next one here is somebody that you guys may be familiar to, Lacey Evans. She's age 27 from Parris Island, South Carolina. Lacey was a former Marine who's part of the SWAT team. Lacey's been wrestling for 3 years and made her NXT debut in 2016. Lacey is also a former APW World Heavyweight Champion. Couple moves she has here: armbar, swinging neck breaker, rope aided handstand double knee drop. That's gonna be a good one. Lacey could be one of those sleeper underdogs in this tournament. I don't know if she'll go far, but don't underestimate her. Number 10, this one will probably be one of the big powerhouses in this tournament. She has a lot of experience. I'm talking about Jazzy Gabbert, aka the Alpha Female. She's going to be representing Germany in this tournament. She's aged 35. Jazzy has a long background in mixed martial arts. Jazzy started wrestling in 2001. She had a short run with TNA. I remember that in 2014. She's a former DWA, EWE, PWE Women's Champion. And here's some of the moves that she has: Omega Slam, a choke bomb, not only a power bomb, but a choke bomb. She has power slam, obviously, and she also has a spear as well. And she also does a couple of German suplexes as well. I know Jazzy's going to be one of the big dominant forces in this tournament, so I feel sorry for whoever has to face her first off in the first round. Next one, going back to what I mentioned earlier about Waterfall. Number 11 here, we got Santana Garrett, age 29, from Orlando, Florida. Santana's been wrestling for 8 years. She was trained by WWE Hall of Famer Larry Zbyszko. So you guys may know Santana for her time in TNA. She's also been in promotions like NWA, Shine, Stardom, and WOW. Santana has a Shining Star press, a handspring back elbow. She also has an octopus stretch. It's one of her submission moves. And she also has a springboard arm drag. I know looks can be deceiving, but in my opinion, I think Santana is definitely a sleeper performer in this tournament, just due to her technical skills. Yeah, she's hot, but she could go in the ring as well. Now, talk about people that could go in the ring. Number 12, Dakota Kai, a.k.a. Evie. Evie is age 29. She comes from Auckland, New Zealand. She's been wrestling for over a decade. She was trained by the Impact Pro Wrestling School. She is known for working in Shimmer and Shine. She's a former Shimmer Tag Team Champion. Evie has a couple moves: a diving double foot stomp, a fireman's carry dropped into a shin kick. That's nasty. A Zuka kick, and a penalty kick. So she's a quick striker with her legs and stuff. Next one's another performer that comes from the Shimmer background. Abby Lathe, a.k.a. Kimberly, age 27, from Seattle, Washington. Abby's been wrestling for 6 years. She got trained by the CZW Training Academy. She's competed, obviously, in CZW, but also she was in Shine, Shimmer, Shikara, and AAW. Abby was signed to the WWE late in the fall last year. She's a former Shikara Grand Champion. Also an NCW Women's Champion, and don't forget she's also a Shimmer and Shine Tag Team Champion. Here's some of the moves that she has. An alligator clutch is just her submission move. A high angle senton bomb. Also has a bicycle kick. I would kind of correlate Kimberly's offense kind of similar to Son of Havoc or Sheamus in the ring. She's very, very good, and she's very talented for what she does. She's a very aggressive performer. Next one here, we have one of the young ladies that was signed from China when WWE did a recent tryout camps out in China. She's going to be making her debut. We don't know a lot about her, but her name in this tournament will be Xia Li, a.k.a. Zoe Kai, for China. Like I mentioned before, she's one of the recent signings in the WWE Performance Center. I don't know much about her background as far as what championships she had or what her moves are. I'll probably get that when the bracketology special comes out, but don't underestimate any of these competitors in this tournament. Next one here we got Crazy Mary Dobson, aka Sarah Logan, age 23. She's the same age as I am, from Jeffersonville, Indiana. Sarah's been wrestling for 6 years. She was trained by Madman Pondo, Mickey Knuckles, and Takamichi Nuku. She's competed in a lot of promotions like D1W, IWA Mid-South, WCCW, Shimmer, Ring of Honor, etc., etc., etc. Obviously, we all know that Sarah is currently part of the NXT Women's Division because she was signed to the WWE a couple years ago. Sarah has a couple moves: a split-legged moonsault, a headbutt, and also a reverse handstand into a knee drop. So, for me, I think Crazy Mary Dobson, or Sarah Logan, whatever you want to call her, she's going to have a good run in this tournament, in my opinion. Now, one of the favorites that we have here in this tournament is obviously Mercedes Martinez, age 36, from Waterbury, Connecticut. Mercedes been wrestling for 17 years. She's one of the most experienced performers in this tournament besides the alpha female. She was trained by Jason Knight. She was one of the faces of the Shimmer brand over the past 5 to 10 years. Two-time Shimmer World Champion, a former WXW Women's Champion, and NCW Female Champion. Here's some of the moves she has: a Fisherman's Buster, Saito suplex. She's very agile with her suplexes. She also has a spine buster and a running big boot as well. Mercedes Martinez is experienced, but I think she's going to be in this tournament for the long haul. Next one here, we got Renee Michelle from Washington, D.C. Not much about her background as far as like her age and stuff, but she made her wrestling debut in 2013. She's a former ECWA Women's Champion and NCW Women's Champion. Cool story about Renee, she won the NCW's inaugural women's tournament, Maryland Championship Wrestling, for those that are trying to figure out what I'm talking about here. She has the spear, a Bonita Bomb, a Dragon Sleeper, and how about this for her? An Isai Moonsault. That's going to be pretty cool for the tournament. Some other performers here I'm going to rattle off a little bit right here real quick. Miranda Salinas from Booker T's Reality of Wrestling. She'll be making her debut in the tournament. We also have Piper Nevin from Scotland, age 26. She made her wrestling debut in 2008. She was also part of TNA's British Boot Camp and a former W3L Women's Champion. One of the favorites in the tournament is a girl named Kari Sane from Japan. She's 28 years old, best known for her elbow drops. She's a 3-time Goddess of Stardom champion and a 4-time Artist of Stardom champion. She signed to the WWE earlier this year, and she's going to be one of the big performers for this tournament. She's known for having one of the best elbow drops in the business. Next one, we have a veteran in Nicole Savoy, age 31, from Pulaski County, Missouri. Former AWS Women's Champion and Heart of Shimmer Champion. She's very, very talented performer. Has a suicide dive, German suplex, a butterfly suplex, and she's very similar to Mercedes Martinez. She's also in a faction with Mercedes Martinez and Shayna Baszler. Nicole Savoy is definitely one of the top performers in this tournament that I can't wait to see. Other ones here, we got Toni Storm, age 21, from New Zealand. She's the current Progress Women's Champion. She's a very, very talented performer for someone as young as she is. Check out for Toni Storm in this one. Mae Young, one of my favorites from covering Impact, now GFW. Mae Young, Jade, whatever you want to call her, age 28, from Fontana, California. Mia's been wrestling for 8 years. She's a former TNA Knockouts champion. She won the TNA World Cup in 2016. And she's a former Shine World champion. Some of her moves, the package pile driver. She also has a corkscrew moonsault that's pretty nice as well. Now, one of the ones in the tournament everybody's looking forward to is Candice LeRae, age 31, from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. The wife of Johnny Gargano. She's been wrestling for 15 years. Candice has been one of the highest touted females in the professional wrestling world. She's competed for PWG, Shimmer, Shine, etc., etc., etc. She's a former PWG World Tag Team Champion. Candice LeRae is definitely going to be one of the highly touted favorites for this tournament. Princess Suet from Mexico, age 37, from Monterrey, Mexico, made her wrestling debut in 1995. Now, I found this interesting because JR mentioned this on his podcast. He had Lita and Medusa on it, and they were going over some of the performers in the tournament. That's how I got a lot of this information about these performers. Princess Suet had a lot of doing with Lita's training when she was in Mexico before she went to the WWE. Princess Suet was part of the CMLL promotion for a long time, and she's a former PWR World Women's Champion. Now, you know, we had the special moment of having Brian Kendrick in the Cruiserweight Classic last year. We know how that story planned out. Now we have a returning WWE superstar, is Serena Deeb, age 31, from Fairfax, Virginia, formerly part of CM Punk's Straight Edge Society. She's a former OVW Women's Champion and an SCW Women's Champion. Very cool. Serena also uses the GTS. She has a front inverted power slam and also a belly-to-belly suplex as well. Next one, we have Reina Gonzalez from Rio Grande Valley, Texas. She was signed to the WWE Performance Center in 2016. Reina is the daughter of former professional wrestler Ricky Gonzalez. Next one here we got is Kaylee Ray from Scotland. Age 24, started wrestling in 2009. Her, just like Piper Neville, was part of the Teenage British Boot Camp. Kaylee Ray was a former ICW Women's Champion and a WC What Culture Pro Wrestling Women's Champion as well. Kaylee Ray is one of the more talked about indie women's wrestlers out there. So Kaylee Ray is definitely one not to mess with. Talk about people not to mess with. Aisha Raymond from the UK. Aisha was trained by the Knight family. And pretty cool story about Aisha. She's performing and wrestling in honor of her brother, who's a big wrestling fan, but unfortunately he's blind, so he can't really see anything. And Aisha's doing her best to have a great career to help support her brother and her family. So Aisha has a great story, and I wish nothing but the best for her and her family. Number 30th competitor here, we have Rhea Ripley from Australia. From like I said, from Australia, age 20. It's crazy. I'm 23. She's 20. Rhea made her wrestling debut in 2013. She's known for performing in Riot City Wrestling, and she's a two-time RCW Women's Champion. Next one here we got is Zendaya from China. With a background in MMA, amateur wrestling, and sports entertainment, not to mention singing and acting and modeling, Zayna enters the Mae Young Classic with one of the most unique skill sets. She might be a relatively unknown entity in WWE, having only joined the Performance Center earlier this year. But she's received wrestling training under the likes of Brian Kendrick and the fighting tutelage of Black House MMA, the same facility where UFC legend Anderson Silva spars at. And then the last one here for this tournament, Rachel Evers, age 24, from Sauk Center, Minnesota. Rachel Evers is obviously Rachel Ellering. Rachel is the daughter of WWE Hall of Famer Paul Ellering, and she was trained by Lance Storm in the Lance Storm Wrestling Academy. She has a lot of moves. She has springboard leg drop, bicycle kick, a Superman punch. She also has a discus elbow smash, which is going to be a very good move to watch out for. And, Rachel Ellering has been wrestling for the better part for the past 3 to 4 years or so. And it's kind of cool to see these second or third generation performers get into these type of tournaments, because obviously with their experience, they'll know what to do against a bevy of style performers. So, yeah, man, this tournament's going to be off the chain. Shout out to William Regal and Canyon Seaman and Triple H and the entire Scotty crew down there at NXT to correlate all these women all at the same time for this tournament. The Mae Young Classic starts August 28th on the WWE Network. Also, the bracketology special will be airing immediately after SummerSlam. So, I can't wait to cover this tournament. This is going to be a blast. I wanted to spend a good amount of time this week talking about it because I want to do something productive and something different here. You know, I come on here and I'll rant about this Nimrod there and this Nimrod somewhere else. And I didn't really want to rant this week. I really got nothing to rant about. I want to talk about something positive, something productive. And I want to give shout out to all the women who busted their ass to get to this tournament, and they deserve a lot of credit. Before we head to our first break, I just want to go over couple of things from the G1 Climax tournament that just started this past Monday. I just want to go over who's going to be in the tournament. I won't go over the full matchups and stuff, but Block A, we got Bad Luck Fray, Hiroki Goto, Tetsuya Naito, Zack Sabre Jr., Yoshihashi, Kota Ibushi, Tomohiro Ishii, Togi Makabe, Yuji Nagata, and Hiroshi Tanahashi. That's Block A. Block B competitors in the tournament is Michael Elgin, Evil, Satoshi Kojima, Okada, Kenny Omega, Juice Robinson, Sonata, Minoru Suzuki, Tama Tonga, and Toru Yano. So those are the current performers in the G1 Climax. If you haven't seen the first night, go out your way to watch it because it was really, really good. The match from Naito and Kota Ibushi speaks for itself. Just a lot of good action from this tournament. Also, the match with Tomohiro Ishii and Hikaroki Goto was insane as well. They did night 2 of the tournament last night. I'm going to be doing that article pretty soon for ProWrestlingResults.wordpress.com. And yeah, man, G1, this is my first time covering the G1. There's a lot of nights of wrestling, so sometimes I'll get to cover the event live, sometimes I won't, but I promise to have an article for all 19 events of this G1 Climax tournament, and Don Callis and Kevin Kelly are going to be doing most of the commentary for this tournament, and yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. So here's the matchups only for today's show if you haven't seen it. Hirari Kawano and Kota Ibushi taking on El Desperado and Zack Sabre Jr. from Suzuki Gun. Tiger Mask, Yuji Nagata, and Togi Makabe would be taking on Jado, Tomohiro Ishii, and Hiroki Goto. It's interesting. Ishii and Goto were opponents the previous show, now they're tag team partners. David Finlay and Tanahashi taking on Chase Owens and Bad Luck Fale for the Bullet Club. And Jado and Yoshihashi would be taking on Bushi and Naito for Los Ignobles de Japan. Here's the Block B matches for today for the tournament. Kojima will be taking on Juice Robinson. Michael Elgin is taking on Tama Tonga. Sonata versus Evil. Okada versus Toru Yano. And Minoru Suzuki versus Kenny Omega. So that's the matches for today's show. Alright, folks. I spent a lot of time talking about tournaments and non-main roster related content. We had a good week of main roster content we need to get to before we head out for this week. We're going to start off with a bang. We're going to be talking about this past Monday's Raw, which was absolutely insane. The World to SummerSlam is beginning for the Raw brand, and after that, we'll make my predictions for Battleground. Now it's time to see what happened this week on Monday Night Raw.
Listen, I need you to understand why I stopped the match.
I never quit, but you forced me to.
Which is exactly why I did it. I knew you wouldn't quit, man. That's not in you. That's not who you are. But Daivari was about to perform some damage to your shoulder, man. Permanent damage to your shoulder. And I know you're mad at me right now, bro, but I'm cool with that. But what I'm not cool with is if you're gone, if you're injured, you're out. I wasn't just concerned about tonight. I was thinking about next week. I was thinking about next year. I was thinking about you becoming the next WWE Cruiserweight Champion. That's what I was thinking about. I need you to understand that, man. That's why I stopped the match.
Tomorrow night, on 205 Live, I want to match with Daivari.
With Daivari, come on.
Dash Dawson, big win tonight against the Hardy Boys. Does this help solidify the claim that you are top guys?
I'm sorry, Mike. My hearing's not that great right now, but it sounded like you said claim. Our claim of being top guys. We're not insurance. We're not Nationwide. We're not Geico. There is no claim to speak of. We are just top guys.
Yeah, listen, we've been telling everybody for the past 3 or 4 years that we are the absolute best tag team on this planet. And tonight we beat the team that has set the bar, not a pun intended, that has set the bar for the past couple of decades. Me and Dash, we live off of 40 miles of bad road, and there ain't one team, there ain't one pair of guys that can make it down our block, okay? We talk heavy and we hit hard. Tonight, we prove to you, we prove to them, we prove to the world, we prove to the Hardy Boys that we are the top guys.
There is no one that will outwit or outhit the Revival. Top guys out.
Well, recently I just found out that an action of my past has a serious consequence. because it changed my life. And I was afraid to change because I thought it would hurt my family. But I'm happy to say that my family is 100% supportive of this. And I'm also happy to say that the WWE, my employer, is supportive of this announcement, as I hope you are too. When I was in college at Clarion University, I dated a young lady. We dated for a while, then we stopped dating. And it wasn't until recent I found out that she gave birth 9 months after our last date. She gave birth to a baby boy. Now, if you indulge me for a minute, I'd like to brag about this young man. In high school, he was a 3-sport athlete, an all-star, and he was a great student. He was even drafted after high school to play professional baseball, but he chose to go to college to get a degree and to excel in wrestling, and he did it both. After college, he had many, many options, but he decided that he was going to pursue his dream of becoming a WWE superstar. Now, I'm happy he did that. And I have to say, we always settle everything in this ring on Raw, and that's what we're going to do right now. So I'd like to introduce to you the newest member of Raw, my son. You may know him as Jason Jordan.
My God, he shocked the world, man. My God, he shocked the world. I want to bury the lead, man, but yeah, man. Jason Jordan was revealed as Kurt Angle's son on this past Monday's Raw, and sparked a lot of controversy, just like anything else that happens in the world of WWE. A lot of speculation of who was going to appear on Monday night, whether it was going to be Dixie Carter or Stephanie McMahon. Yes. But it was Jason Jordan, and it was a swerve, and I didn't see it coming, and that's why I enjoyed the segment. So for those wondering, I had a chance to talk about it since it happened. I gave some snippet thoughts about it on Twitter or whatever. By the way, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you like, at Notorious Joshi. Follow me, I'll follow you back. Just don't be a Nimrod. That's all I ask. But back to this. I like it because I didn't see it coming. Now, am I disappointed that I didn't get to see Dixie Carter? Yes, because I like seeing the IWC burn. I like seeing the IWC have a mental breakdown. I like seeing the IWC get to the point where they want to jump off a ledge. I get enjoyment out of that. I like good trolling humor. I do. I'm not gonna lie about that. But I didn't see the Jason Jordan angle coming. I did it. And that's a good thing. We as wrestling fans, we shouldn't have to feel like we need to be in a position to don't know why this is happening now, and why this is happening, and why that's happening, or this is going to happen this part of the year or that part of the year. We should let these things play out, and I didn't see it coming, and I think that's the best part about it. And I'm going to be talking about that because we're recording the Pipe Bomb later on tonight. We're going to be recording that bad boy. It'll come out on Saturday, and I'm gonna be talking about that because I know a lot of people are already crapping and poo-pooing on this because it wasn't Dixie or whatever. But hey, man, you ask Jason Jordan what he would rather be doing right now. I think this past Monday would speak for itself as far as what his answer would have been. So that's my thoughts on the Angle Jordan stuff. I really enjoyed the interview with Renee Young on the WWE Network after Raw went off air this past Monday night. I just thought it was interesting. I find it very fascinating, and obviously this is something that could either work or something that could flop. But I'm willing to give it a shot, and I think that's all you can do as a wrestling fan at the end of the day. I just hate the the approach most wrestling fans have today. We're just gonna poo-poo stuff right out of the gate. Like, where everybody really this is it. This is the moment when Rock joined the Nation. Like, I'm sure some people were ragtagging it on the internet and the dirt sheets during that time. Don't lie to yourself. Can this work out for Jason Jordan? I certainly hope so. I certainly do. Other stuff on Raw. I thought Raw was really good actually this week. I thought Raw was the best week of television for both Raw and SmackDown. I thought the match with Elias Sanson and Finn Balor was very good. Led to Elias Sanson pulling off a JEFF, JARR, ETT on Finn Balor with that guitar shot. You also had Bray Wyatt appearing on the screen, so it looks like we're going to finally get into this Bray Wyatt Finn Balor program that I've been waiting for a while, which is cool. I really enjoyed the first segment with Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. There's a lot of good character development stuff for both guys and both of their careers, because you see a lot of similarities with Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose and where they are right now in their careers, and what's next for them and how they can evolve into their next phase of their career. And it's going to be interesting where this goes. Honestly, it looks like it could be a triple threat match for the IC title at SummerSlam, and I wouldn't have a problem with that. With Rollins, Ambrose, and Miz, I think that'd be a good match. Will this lead to Dean Ambrose finally going back to the dark side? Who knows? But I'll say this, though. I really enjoyed that segment with Ambrose and Rollins to start off the show. Other stuff, man. Now we're knowing that Sasha Banks will take on Bayley next week on Raw. The winner in that match will go on to face Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam. Raw did a good thing this week with announcing a lot of matches with stipulations going into next week. We have that match. We also have Elias Sanson and Balor going on in a no DQ match. We also have Ambrose and Rollins taking on Miz and the Miztourage in a 3-on-2 handicap match as well. So I like that they were building stuff for next week too. That's why I liked a lot about Raw this week. I also liked the match with Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe. I thought it was a very, very good match. I thought both guys brought it. Joe and Reigns have great chemistry in the ring, and I think down the road, Joe and Roman Reigns will have a very good pay-per-view rivalry. And we have some longer matches on the pay-per-views. And I think that would be awesome down the road. But this match ended in a no contest. Braun Strowman came back out of his injuries coming out of the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view. Braun Strowman absolutely mollywopped both Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns. And yeah, I thought it was really cool how they closed out the show in that fashion. It made Braun look very strong. And this leads things up in the air. We don't really know what's going to happen at SummerSlam, but one way or another, it's going to be a match that you're going to be invested in one way or another. You have 3 potential matchups for one-on-one matchups with Brock Lesnar. You can have it set up for a 3-way, or you can set up for a 4-way. Either way, there's a lot of good scenarios for the top end of the Raw brand. You can have 2 main events out of those 4 guys. You can have all of them fight in one match for the Universal title, or you can have, like I mentioned before, like I said, 2 main events. You can have Joe and Braun while Roman fights Brock. You can have Brock versus Strowman, and you have Joe versus Reigns. You can have Brock and Joe too, and we can get the finale of Roman versus Braun. There's a lot of good scenarios in this scenario for the Raw brand, and that's what I like. And I love what they're doing with Brock, I love what they're doing with Roman, and I love what they're doing with Samoa Joe. There's a lot of good top-heavy guys on the Raw brand, and the guys in the mid-card and etc. are making a name for themselves too. I mean, the tag team division is doing good. I thought the Revival and the Hardys had a very good match. You know, people could say I'm too optimistic and stuff, but honestly, I don't care, man. It's a Monday, you're starting off your week. I know people have issues in life, and I'm not different from that. Not everybody has their own issues that they deal with at separate times, but for me, I'm a positive, outgoing person. I am. I live my life with a positive mental attitude, and I like to go into every show I watch or cover with an open mind and enjoying it. And I'll tell you, man, I have a great time doing the Universal Chatter Show with Brother Carter. It helps me enjoy Raw. I get to talk about it and talk about what I love, and that's wrestling. And you know what? I'm that nut that watches Raw live and then does a transcription article of it because I want to be dedicated to what I do in that website that I made and a commitment that I made to you guys to support my work. And I put in grunt work in it. I tell you, man, I get 2 different experiences from watching Raw live to typing it out later on that night. I get so hooked into finding out what I missed from a storyline point of view that you don't really pay attention to while the show's happening. You know, we're in the era of so much reactionary hot takes. You know what I mean? We're in a reaction era where on Twitter we react to every little minute thing that happens on the show, but there's a lot of minute things that go over people's head while the show's going on. And that stuff I know is because I get the opportunity to transcribe the show, bolts in every little minute thing that happens on the show. It's my goal to point that out in the articles that I do. And maybe that's why I feel like I'm more in tune with the product than most other people, because, you know, unfortunately, a lot of times when you're watching Raw or any WWE main roster programming, you're watching it with a jaded, pessimistic point of view. And it's not going to do you any favors, because you're not going to look at it from a big picture standpoint. Just because you didn't get the answer to why a certain storyline is happening on one week on Raw doesn't mean that the storyline sucks, because they can answer that question that you have the next week. That's why we have these 4 to 5 week builds to pay-per-views. I hear so many people on other podcasts talk about, oh, we don't get logic. Oh, there's never good logic. There's never good follow-up. There is. You're not really paying attention to it. You're really not. No, I'm not saying that they don't make mistakes. Obviously, no wrestling show is perfect. But I feel like as people like to tout how smart they are in this wrestling world, from a fan point of view, I'll say otherwise, because it really doesn't. I don't look at it that way. I don't, but I'm different, and I'll admit that. But at the end of the day, I enjoyed Raw for what it was. I thought it was a good show, and obviously we'll see more and more stuff get built for SummerSlam coming out next week, because after this Battleground pay-per-view on Sunday, we're full steaming ahead into SummerSlam. So things are going to be heating up for the WWE for both Raw and SmackDown, and it's a good time to be a wrestling fan, man. I keep telling you guys, it's a great time to be a fan. Raw has been really good the past couple months. I thought SmackDown is SmackDown. SmackDown will always be the A show. We have NXT TakeOver Brooklyn that's coming up next month. We have the Mae Young Classic coming up. Lucha Underground's been off the chain for season 3. It's just a great time to be a wrestling fan. And obviously, we got the G1 Climax going on right now. So I don't care what Vince Russo says. I don't care what Glenn Gilbernetti, the Disco Inferno, has to say. I don't care what Lance Storm has to say. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan. Don't let people who are miserable at fault dictate your mind. Don't let people that are miserable at fault dictate your points of view on wrestling. That's my tip for today. So, that's my thoughts on Raw. I enjoyed it. We'll see what happens with this Kurt Angle, Jason Jordan storyline as the weeks go by. But before I head out, I wanted to make some predictions for the WWE Battleground pay-per-view. But first, let's take a look at what happened on this week's SmackDown Live.
Chad, last night on Monday Night Raw, we found out that your former tag team partner, Jason Jordan, is the biological son of Kurt Angle.
Yeah. What?
Right?
You know, as a SmackDown superstar, you don't really think your whole life's going to turn upside down because you tuned into Raw one night.
Did Jason mention anything to you at all about what was going on in his life?
No. And a little heads up would have been nice. You know, this didn't just change Jason and Kurt's life, it changed my life too. But we talked after Raw. You know, he called me, okay?
Okay.
But when you're a tag team, Renee, basically live together on the road. You do everything together. We train, eat together. I knew something was wrong. He was being very distant. It was obvious. And he explained it all to me word for word, and I understood what he was going through.
So, you know, you mentioned some changes. We know that Jason Jordan is now moving on to Monday Night Raw. What does that mean for Chad Gable?
Well, first of all, we accomplished a lot together. You know, we won the SmackDown Tag Team titles from Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. He supported me in huge matches against Kevin Owens, against the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. He's a great guy. Why would I not support him the same way that he supported me? That's exactly what I'm going to do. But what's next for Chad Gable? I got some ideas.
And you can share?
And ruin the surprise, right?
All right.
No, it's not. That's not important. What's important is they got a whole new beginning going for them, right? But they're not the only ones. This is a great chance for everyone to see Chad Gable on his own.
All right. Well, Chad, I know it's been a wild 24 hours for you, so thank you for sitting down with me, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your SmackDown Women's Champion, Naomi. Hey. Naomi, I think, given the match that we just saw, it's fair to say that whoever walks out of Battleground victorious this Sunday, you could be facing your biggest challenge yet as a SmackDown Women's Champion come SummerSlam.
Well, let me just first say, although I won't be defending the SmackDown Women's Championship Sunday, please believe I will be the first in that ring to personally congratulate whoever becomes the #1 contender. And as far as SummerSlam, sis, I want every match to be my biggest challenge. Because I ain't come here to play. I'm here to glow. So whether it's Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Natalya, Tamina, or Lana, they just better be ready to go. Because when it's glow time, there ain't no stop. Can I help you?
You can, but you can't. Bye-bye. Bye. Go. Don't mind us, Naomi. I just wanted to remind you that everywhere you go, my Money in the Bank contract and I go. So I guess we'll see you at Battleground.
Jimmy, victory tonight over Kofi Kingston. As you were walking out, you had your back turned and the #1 raised. How confident are you guys going into Sunday?
Confident. That ain't even a word. We turned up right now, Hoots. I walk with my back to them because that's what they deserve. I walk with the one up because it's representing who we are. We #1 and we represent our day ones. You feel me?
5 days. Shoot. 5 days till Battleground, Hoots.
Yeah. In 5 days, they're going to start feeling a little hair standing behind their neck.
Yep.
And they're going to feeling goosebumps running through their body.
Yep.
And their head be going on swivel because they thinking somebody creeping behind them, Hoots. No. It's not paranoia. It's the Usos.
Excuse me, Mike. Are you okay that that's the way you won your debut match on SmackDown Live against Sami Zayn?
Am I okay? Am I okay with how I beat Sami Zayn, the man who disrespected me, but more importantly, has disrespected my wife over and over and over?
I'll take this, Dasha. Move along. Of course we're excited about how we won the match. Sami got exactly what he deserved. And that's to learn a lesson. A lesson about the power of love.
This is part of the podcast where I like to let you know that all audio clips from the WWE YouTube channel that are displayed on this podcast are owned by the WWE. These are not my own exclusive clips. I'm using these clips to enhance the presentation of the podcast and also provide context into what we're going to be talking about on the podcast as well. So these are not my clips. I just want to throw it out there before people want to start their copyright strikes and stuff. This is strictly WWE content. I'll give credit where credit's due, as a professional would. And I get most of these YouTube clips and I use them for context because I use a lot of these clips because I'm all about character development. And when I was doing the old Pro Wrestling Experience show, I used these clips to show character development in the show. For those that used to listen to the old radio show knew that I used to close out the podcast with the Michael Cole interviews that they used to do on the YouTube channel. So, again, I just want to say these clips are not mine. They're owned by the WWE, and they're used to enhance the presentation of the podcast, but also provide context into the character development that's going on in these storylines as well. So, thank you very much. Also, by the way, if you want to advertise with the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, all you have to do is send an email to joshlopezww94@gmail.com using the subject line advertising. Alright, folks, let's get a little bit into SmackDown and make some predictions for Battleground, or the Ground of Battle, as Broken Man Hardy would say. Yes. Before we head out this week. I'm not going to break down segment by segment for SmackDown this week. I thought the show was fine. I didn't think it was great or horrible. I'm going to go strictly to the card for Battleground. I'll say this, though. I enjoyed seeing Mike Kanellis finally in the ring this past Tuesday. I thought it was a very good match. The stuff with the Truth Is Not H with Breezango was hilarious. I was crying laughing. I really enjoyed the match with Jimmy Uso and Kofi Kingston. I thought that was a very good match where how Jey Uso said, Kofi Kingston! Kofi Kingston used the Jamaican. Oh, man. But, alright, folks, let's get into Battleground. And let me just say this, though. Like, I've been seeing some, like, hate for this pay-per-view, and I really don't know why. Because as I'm looking at this match card, there's not one match that I'm not looking forward to covering. Like, okay, because you don't like the stipulation of a flag match, that means Battleground's gonna suck. Oh, because the Punjabi Prison is back, that's why you don't like the pay-per-view. Hey, folks, the Great Khali is not in this match. I think Jinder and Randy can pull this match off in a good fashion because they're agile guys. Yes, Randy moves a little bit slower than Randy likes that slow, methodical pace. But at the same time, this is not a Big Show Undertaker match. This is not the Great Khali versus Batista that I had to sit through when I went to No Mercy 2007. This is a totally different playing field, folks. Alright, so we're going to have, this is going to be the 5th Battleground pay-per-view in WWE history. It's coming from the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Kickoff match, Ty Dillinger versus Aiden English. Pretty easy here. I'm going to go with Ty Dillinger. Start off with the top, Usos against New Day for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. I'm going to go with the Usos. After that, we'll go to the 5-way elimination #1 contenders match. Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Natalya, Tamina, and Lana. I am going to go with Charlotte to win this match. Yep, I'm going to go with Charlotte to win. After that, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Baron Corbin. I'm going to go with Nakamura via disqualification. I think Corbin gets himself either counted out or DQ'd, so I'll throw that out there. Sami Zayn versus Mike Kanellis, a rematch for this week's SmackDown Live. Again, I'll probably go with Mike Kanellis in this one. AJ Styles against Kevin Owens for the United States Championship. I'm going to go with AJ to retain, even though Kevin Owens is my boy. I'm going to go with AJ to retain the United States Championship. John Cena, Rusev for the flag match. I'm just surprising people right now. I'm going with Rusev. You're hearing this first right here on the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. I'm going to say this tonight, and it's going to shock everybody in the bottom pipes. Rusev will beat John Cena on Sunday. It's happening. I don't know why. I don't have a specific reason why I'm going with this pick, but I just have a sneaky suspicion that Rusev is going to beat John Cena this Sunday. And then finally, we got Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton, the Punjabi Prison match for the WWE title. I'm going to go with Jinder to retain. By the way, happy belated birthday to the modern-day Maharaja. Jinder will retain because you can't hinder Jinder, especially in Philly. The place filled with Young Club members and Nimrods all around the world. So, yeah, man, I don't get the hate for this pay-per-view. I really don't. There's a lot of good matches I'm looking forward to. I mean, the first time I get to see Nakamura versus Barrett Court for the first time, that's gonna be cool. Owens and AJ always deliver. I think Sammy and Michael have a better match than they had on Tuesday. Plus, they had to deal with the fact they had a commercial break during that match. I think the 5-way match will deliver for the women, and you're telling me you're not interested in this Usos New Day rivalry? Like, come on. Okay, maybe the stipulation for a flag match may not be interesting to you, but the show is called Battleground. The show is called Battleground, and they're in the city in the first city in the United States. You're surprised that they wouldn't have a flag match on the show called Battleground? Come on, guys. But nonetheless, that's my predictions for Battleground. And on that note, we're going to wrap up this edition of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. I want to thank you guys so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to listen to this week's podcast. I know you guys have so many other things you should be focusing on and doing, but if you're listening to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Podomatic, if you're listening to the podcast at your local gym or riding on your way home or at home, go the fuck home, stay the fuck home. No, I'm kidding. Depending when or where you're listening to this podcast, I just want to say thank you for the support. I really mean it. It means a lot to me. I appreciate your support. I love doing this podcast for you, and that's not going to stop. Make sure to check out my transcriptions, yes, at ProWrestlingResults.wordpress.com. Did NXT and Lucha Underground last night. I'm going to be doing the G1 Climax today. And I also may do TNA later on tonight or tomorrow morning. Who knows? But on that note, I want to say thank you guys again for listening to the podcast. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at NotoriousHoshi. I will be covering Battleground this Sunday for ProWrestlingResults.wordpress.com. Make sure to bookmark the site. Leave a honest review rating of the podcast on Apple Podcasts. Screenshot the review of the podcast, and I'll give you a shout out on air next week. And also, you can check me out on the Pipe Bomb with McCool & Company on a New Age Insiders Network. Shout out to NAI guys. They got to have a big announcement with Donovan Dijak last night that he's not taking any bookings, and it looks like Mr. Dijak will be heading up north soon for the WWE, so that's pretty cool. Thank you guys so much for checking out this week's Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Remember, you're the director of your life story. Nobody dictates your character. Make sure to check out the podcast at MarionCarnage.com, and I'm out. Thank you guys so much for checking out episode 63 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, and we'll talk to y'all next week. Peace!